Ahead of Edo September 21st election, the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission earlier today met with the resident electoral commissioners here in Abuja, giving an update and preparations of the commissions in respect to the September 21st election. The chairman of INEC also reiterated that a total of 1,119 new voters were added and cautioned that no registrants will be allowed to collect their PVCs by proxy. It also revealed that the soft copy of the final and comprehensive register of voters will be presented to each political party filing candidate in the election ahead of the Edo state. These are the preparations by the commissions in respect to the Edo elections coming out of September 21st. And this is part of the stakeholders meeting of the commission, and to also trace the fact that there is a need to properly engage the stakeholders. And the resident commissioners took their turn to meet with the commission earlier today. Hello everyone, welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television, your political programs where we explore major political issues in the country. Tonight on the program, we'll be looking at the fact that there are growing concerns how the president is able to afford the new presidential jet. And our question, if the Nigerian economy is that bad, and now he has taken the president within the 1 year to purchase a new private jet in the same economy that many of us are saying that inflations are bad, that is banditry for insecurities and all of that. And many questions Nigerians are asking, if the Nigerian economy is bad, as you claim, why should the president able to afford the new jet as at this time? And even if it ought to purchase, why should it be at a very critical time where we are telling Nigerians, bear with us, adjust with us, we are on top of the situations of addressing the many economic challenges in the country. And that's the reason many Nigerians have reacted. I went to the street to get a sample of a reaction on this, and this is what many Nigerians are, of course, getting one out of many who spoke to me earlier today. Take a listen.
As at this hour, when Nigerians are hungry, we should have leaders that are down to the earth, that we not only just be leaders in the office, that sees to the plight of the people. Presidential jet, as at this hour, is a misplaced priorities. And if we are to continue this same way, I'm sorry, both born generation and unborn generation, they will not have a country of their own. Therefore, we need to sometimes call ourselves to conference and think out and within the box. Because when the head stops thinking, it will start thinking. Therefore, we should use our head in everything that we do. And that is the purpose and the reason why God created the head, so that we can reason our way out. I think it is time we reason our way out. We don't need any private jet for now. I'm more able to think about it. All these are just mobilities. It's just necessity. If we already have on ground the one that we're using, so why another new one? It's not justifiable.
The move by the president to purchase a new air fleet. On May 6, 2024, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, aborted his trip to the United States, where he was to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the 2024 U.S.-Africa Business Summit in Texas. And of course, the jet he was traveling with developed technical fault on the midway. The NAV 001 Boeing 737 developed a technical fault during also the President Tinubu's trip to Saudi Arabia. The president reportedly used a chartered aircraft for the trip. And now this incident has joined the others where aircraft of the presidential air fleet had become a national embarrassment. For example, on July 28, 2010, NAV 001 convened the then President Goodluck Jonathan developed some components and expert fault after it taxied for takeoff at the Entebbe International Airport in Uganda after the 15th Africa Union Summit. These as probably may inform the concern by government to provide a rapid, safe and comfortable airlift for the president. And that's the reason why there is a new move to purchase the air fleet for the president. While this is important, many Nigerians are saying it is not right at a time like this, as a very critical time that we are in the economy, to go for that. Also, this government have also reiterated their commitment to also reduce costs of governance. Would this further strengthen the commitment of this administration? That is the questions many Nigerians are asking. My guest tonight is a very security expert and global television analyst, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar. He's here in the studio to give us some perspective to this issue, why we need a presidential air fleet for the president, what happens to our economy, and the many questions Nigerians are asking. Good evening and welcome to the program, Prof.
Thank you very much for taking me today.
All right. There are a lot of concern about the purchase of presidential fleet. I've given you some perspective why it is necessary. I've seen Vice President aborting his flight the other time he was trying to represent the president. But the Nigerians are saying, no, yes, sometimes we need the fleet, but for now, that is not sensitive enough and is not a priority for the country development. What's your assessment about this move by the federal government?
Two things here. One, we have a problem with maintenance. The maintenance culture has really failed for a very long time. Secondly, we have not taken priorities on things we're supposed to do and things we are not supposed to do. We have what we call in security, we have what we call security engineering. An aircraft is supposed to last for 89 years.
All right, Prof. I'm sorry to cut you short. We'll just have to catch out on a break right now. And once we return from the break, I understand you'll give us more perspective to that issue. Just stay with us.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a riveting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Many thanks for sister with us at Big Talk. And of course, my guest, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, is still here with us to give us an understanding about the move by the federal government to purchase new presidential air fleet. Yes, it's important for the president, it's important for the country's security of our leaders, but to what end would this affect our economy? Prof, issues of priority. Many Nigerians are having issues of priority about the time. We've had many presidential jets, but going for a new one at a time like this, is it necessary? Is it important, Prof?
Yeah, it may not be important, but in such situation it's important because we have maintenance culture that is very poor. In fact, our maintenance culture has derailed from poor to worst. An aircraft, there is a part of security we call the engineering security. An aircraft lifespan is supposed to be 89 years. And no aircraft has lasted up to 30 years. Just because of maintenance culture, CC check, other checks that are supposed to be done when due are not taken care of. A country such as Nigeria is supposed to have a hangar where we maintain our own aircraft. The Air Force are there for support service in case of any difficulties. Technically, the equipments are not even there for us to maintain our aircraft. So at a given time, it's like you have a vehicle that lacks maintenance. You continue to run the vehicle till the vehicle gets grounded. In such situation, it has every reason to malfunction. So what we are experiencing is malfunction of the presidential air fleet. Where I can say the good is presidential air fleet, not Bola Ahmed Tinubu's aircraft. So when it discharged from office, the aircraft remain that of Nigeria. So we are supposed to cultivate that habit of maintenance, always adequately maintaining and giving services to our equipment. Yeah, that is not done. And when it is not done, it is not done. I've seen people who use even cars that is supposed to go on monthly checks, and they are not going for any check at all. Till the vehicle get grounded, it's nobody's business. You see, whether we blame anything, we will not want our serving chief executives to die in office, because that is where the problem is. When they have air crashed, air crash is a 95% index. You may not survive it. If you survive it, then you are very lucky. So it's not something you take to chances.
Right, Prof. Another concern many Nigerians are probably having is the abuse of these air fleet, because sometimes we see them used for personal use, family use. We've seen in this country, son of the president using the same fleet, to a nearby state. We've seen such a scenario. But, this is what is designed for: the president, vice president, maybe the senate president, the speaker, and some other senior citizens of this country in respect to duty. Do you feel that, we've seen this misuse of that air fleet, which probably is triggering the anger of many Nigerians to say, no, we've not seen, the benefit of buying a new one as at a time like this, Prof?
It is all about our system. When you are elected, it's like a family has been elected.
The first son of the president, first son of the country.
First son, first daughter,
First
daughter last, age last, baby president, and the rest. We have all of them around us. It becomes an issue of, is our turn. So you cannot disintegrate them from the main source, and forgetting that those people were not voted into power. And that is why power does not transist. It does not transist because of what? You can never see any president in Nigeria today whose child or son or descendant coming to take over the mantle of office tomorrow. Because the holder of that office has totally abused that privilege forever. And we can't run a system that way. You can't go to anywhere now where the children of our head of states and former presidents comes to the open like any other person and do whatever he wants to do and go, whether legally, and step out of the place. They are surrounded by some chokes of security, which makes them not to have their real life after their parents has taken matter of office. Their real life is, they are actually having some psychological issues because they cannot surface and tread the streets like any other person.
Right, because when you look at other countries, you can look at maybe United Kingdom, who are the sixth largest economy and the richest in the world. Of course, they have no particular craft. I mean, just to manage the British government officials, the prime ministers and all of that. That is workable in other developed countries. You can name them, Prof, one after the other. And the push factor to consider that why should we go for that? Why shouldn't we go for an option like maybe private jet and all of that for our president and the vice president? Why should we go on the huge amount of funds allocated in purchasing these?
The issue is, like you mentioned, it took British some time to get to the level where they are today. So you either fly the British Airways or you fly the British Caledonia, but you never fly any other aircraft, even if you are in an executive position. We have not been able to get to such position where our mindset is set on some certain issues, whether with non-value, in the name of protecting what you don't know how to protect. I think that is where we have the problem. Americans protect their president, but not the same way they have the F1. And the F1 is something else. It's something unique and else. But yeah, it is not the same scenario because of the placement we have put on most of this, the tax we are supposed to effect on. And these tax are not actually being looked into. In various areas, we are lacking. And when this lack comes in, we are not ready to accept our inadequacies. I think that is where we get it wrong.
Over and over again, Prof, you've mentioned issue of maintenance, that maintenance culture is a problem here. But there are those who are saying presidential air fleet is probably more expensive to maintain. Looking at how fragile our economy is at this moment, purchasing another one, how can our economy maintain, owing to the fact that there's a huge amount of cost that goes into the maintenance of these. Look at the many numbers we have abandoned. They cannot maintain this. They cannot. I mean, it can be fixed. Probably it can be fixed, but it takes a whole lot to fix them. So why should we still go for that, Prof?
As long as I'm concerned, if we are maintaining the ones we have before, we will not.
What is the maintenance culture? Is it a month-to-month base and all of that?
A CC check goes with how many routing you have gone. And if you have gone through a route, those routing counts and you go for CC check. This we don't do. Let me say you are going 1,000 knots, then you go for CC check. And now you are going 3,000 knots without CC check. What will you do? It's already having a reversal effect on the aircraft. And so if these are the things that continues to go on, and no CC check, no other checks on the aircraft, there's every reason for the aircraft to malfunction. Do you go to check some of the aircrafts, even the commercial aircraft? Just check their rail tires. You will be baffled if this will actually take a passenger from Lagos to Abuja or from Abuja to somewhere else. That is to the extent it is. And what is the authority doing about it? It is nobody's business. The aircraft is ready, just enter and go. And because of our ignorance, nobody is really looking at what is the aircraft up to. So you see an aircraft ties in and it will stop and revise back to location that it cannot take off. It is very uncalled for.
This also brings us to issues of foreign trips. I mean, when you look at the fact that you said measurement of how this can be maintained is due to the amount of times used and all of that. Concern about foreign trips. We've seen the president, I mean, is also making plans to travel to France He has just returned from Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, and I mean, several trips, I mean, ever since he came into office. So many Nigerians are saying, why don't you sit back and fix the country and do the work that you ask Nigerians for? Because they're concerned the fact that every time the president is traveling out of this country, it takes a whole lot of expenses on our resources. Tax-paying funds goes a long way to maintain and fund the trips of our president. Not just the president, vice presidents, the SAs, and all of that. Just of recent, the chief of staff, in respect to the meeting they're going to be having soon, the international foreign trips they will be having, and the government will be having, as said, will reduce the numbers of people that will be going out. Issues of foreign trips has been an issue in the country. We look at the statistics drawn out from the expenses of this trip. Do you feel that the president sometimes needs to consider staying back at home, and even government officials, I mean, in a bid to also fulfill the challenging time we are?
Let me bring in the issue I can discuss here. If United Nations General Assembly, for example, what is the agenda? Because you must know, you are already been served the agenda. What is the agenda? What is your level of participation? Are you needed? Does it require you? And if it requires you, what is the assembly going to discuss? Yeah, in the United Nations General Assembly, there could be votes. You want to pass a vote, so you have to be there. Then on the other one, what is the agenda? Is it agenda that says they are going to discuss about foreign issues, and somebody or two representatives are going to follow you from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Is it on trade? Or is it on the economy generally? So you must take some professionals with you, but not your personal aides. Your personal aides are not supposed to be there, apart from maybe your ADC and one or so. Maybe for some health reasons, you can just pick your personal physician. But I think if we really want to cut costs, because most of the time you find out that from all the ministries and parastatals, there is a delegation. There is a delegate, and you wonder what are these delegates going there for, and you find out that some of them are sleeping in the hotels, just wasting resources. In such case, I don't go for it. But in the case that there is an agenda and you are picking professionals who will go with you and discuss those issues that affect the nation, yes, it's okay. But there is no time a General Assembly carries finance, foreign affairs, carry trade and commerce, carry defense. No, there is an agenda, because it's not a 1 month conference. It's not even a whole week conference. So what is the input? Is it that Mr. President is going to make a speech or make a presentation? If he needs a presentation, that presentation is supposed to be streamlined here, already finished, and given to him for presentation. It's not something that really needs all the bulk of the people going there. Are they the one going to make the presentation? No. Do they have any impact to make? Is there any input? No. So are you just an observer? So a lot of them are just observers. They have no reason to be there. And it's very uncalled for when most of them just jump and say they want to be there too.
Well, the reason I asked that question because in the recent climate change conference, COP28, that we had, Nigeria, powerful delegation going for issues of climate change. And then you're back for the country, issues of implementation, the policy making, and whatever was generated from there. I mean, we can't really point out to the fact that this is the benefit of why we've sent the powerful delegation out of this country. And also, issues of even the president traveling sometimes, to many Nigerians, is wasting our resources, because to them, the president has a whole lot of work to do. Does it mean that, also, Prof, that if the president is traveling out, many of the ministers can't do their job? Or does it have an implication on the fact that Nigerians don't just want to see you travel? They want to see you do the job. They want to see you deliver on the job. Because that's the concern that we are having right now, Prof.
The truth is that when we say a minister, what is the ministerial portfolio for? Because most of the ministers and those who, because the minister is just the political head representing the president in the ministry. So it's a representative of the ministry selling out the ministry, the president's agenda. So you only go back, see what is the agenda of the president, and sell it out in the ministry, and also advise the president, if they need be, on some other areas that you can input on in the ministry. The permanent secretary is the chief accountant and the chief administrator of the ministry. The minister has nothing to do with finances, award of contract, and that is why a minister don't sign contracts. So, but yeah, it is a different ballgame. You are not representing the president. You are an authority of your own. And when you become an authority of your own, it becomes a very big problem. And that is why we have a lot of loopholes in our ministries. Because you're talking to a permanent secretary, he will tell you he's waiting for the minister's approval. There's nothing like the minister's approval, because the permanent secretary is the chief administrator and the chief accountant. But nobody holds them responsible, because they virtually don't know their duties. So if the ministers are doing what they are supposed to do, the president has less pressure. Very less pressure, because you have capable hands that you know those people will deliver on your agenda. So you have less pressure. But yeah, you have more pressure because the president almost runs the entire system. So the pressure becomes too much, too voluminous on the part of Mr. President.
All right, Prof. With the fact-finding that are concerned that, I mean, some month ago we had in the National Assembly, the Senate President said, if the President sent a request on issues of this purchase, would definitely approve. But from that time to now, there is no public concern or comment coming from the National Assembly as to, budget, approval, consent of the National Assembly, consent of the Nigerian people. And now that it looks that all is well with the presidential air fleet by its purchase, does it therefore undermine the transparency of this government? Because why I'm asking that question is because how are you able, because if you are asking to purchase air fleet as at this very down time of our economy, how will the president able to get the savings from Nigeria, probably from a subsidy or whatever, to purchase this? Because that's a question many Nigerians are also considering and asking.
We have the executive and we have the legislators. When the legislators become like the chicken that horse in the morning, then there is nothing the executive can do about it. We were all here when they brought the issue of national item, and within 24 hours it was signed into law. So when we have rubber stamp legislators or National Assembly members, then there is nothing we can do about it, because they can go ahead and approve anything, even in the middle of the night.
But these are the people that are speaking for Nigerian people. They are representing all the central district and constituency we have in this country.
More often than now, I used to say that is the legislator supposed to be a resident of Abuja? Do they interface with the people? No. So people who don't interface with you only come to collect your vote every 4 years. The legislators are supposed to have their constituent offices in their various constituents. So they come here, get the bills, go back, orient and reorient their people, get the opinions of the people of the new things they are going to do, get the input of the people, and come here for maybe one day or 2 days sitting. But that is not what is happening. What is happening is they are in Abuja here fighting for who becomes a committee chairman, who become a principal officer, and stay here till another 4 years and go back home and said, I need your vote. So basically, the parties, executives are not doing their job because we don't have parties. We have a platform to get to any position you want to go to.
So you feel this National Assembly hurriedly approve everything that comes from the executive without screening, making fine things, speaking to the Nigerian people, communicating to the people who voted them to go to the National Assembly to speak for them?
Yes.
But that's what ought to be.
Yes, that is what is happening. Because you don't want to look at you don't want your principal to look at you as a saboteur. You are not sabotaging him. You want to play the good boy politics. And that is where we are. You don't air your mind. Somebody speak your mind. Your own is, this is what we want from you, or you face the wrath. And I think that is the system we are running.
All right, we just have to go on a break right away, everyone. Once we return from the break, we'll be looking at what other ways can we address this issue of coughing cost of governance, because it looks that when government are saying, please tighten up your seatbelt, adjust to some extent, we are fixing the economy, we'll address the many issues that we're having, give us more time. It looks like the government themselves are not also doing their best, and which has also challenged many Nigerians and not to have more hopes and confidence on the government of the day. But it looks that there's more to do, there's more concern and engagement that it ought to be. Probably the purchase of a presidential airfleet is important, it's necessary for our president, for the security of our leaders, but how has the communication between the people and the government looks like? We'll discuss this shortly after this break. Do stay with us on the program.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
Many thanks everyone for staying with us on Big Talk tonight. And of course, we're looking at issues of cost of governance, reduction of expenses of government, day-to-day running of administrations and government. With the services we are having, it looks that every day we spend so much to service the government of the day. We understand that democracy is expensive, but in a time where we are in a very critical time of our economy, does it look that the government should also lead by example, show the way to go, and also reduce some expenditures of governance? We'll also look at the issues of the salaries of senators. That has also been a concern, a national concern, where there are controversies about how much a senator and the House of Reps are earning on the program before we wrap it up today on the program. But let's now finalize on the issue of private jet. How important, you've underscored how important is this. But look at issues of communication. Many Nigerians are feeling that there's a left out. There are way to probably go about it. There are engagement that ought to be. Do you feel that why many Nigerians are not comfortable about this move is the fact that they have lost, to trust government of the day?
Trust is something you earn. Trust is not something just given. Did you believe in the government? Did you have confidence in the government? It is after that you start talking of trust. If you watched very well, if we have good economic team and business is going on well as rightly studied under business and economic security, then nobody will even start talking about presidential airfleet because they know it is ours. It is not for somebody. Even if it's convening some certain class of people, it still belongs to all of us. So everybody is looking up to a period where you will get there and also have the same opportunity and privilege to use the presidential jet. But in this issue, the issue is the cost of governance is getting high, and there is no step to build the same economy of this. So if you have the ministries we have today, and all of them has a table to generate their own funds without falling back. There is one law I so love. I appreciate the National Assembly. I wouldn't know the Senate that passed that law. I said, you generate 100%. You take 30% and give back 70% to the government. If we enforce this and tell the ministers that we have already established a ministry, give us a way out on how you are going to run this ministry, finance it, and get revenue generated. Your 30% is guaranteed. I think that is only when most of these ministries will know that it is not just about budget. This is a nation where we have the Ministry of Power. Ministry of Power can generate trillions, but they are generating nothing. We are still giving them budget, and we still stand on how many megawatts of power up to today. We are still transmitting almost nothing. We are still distributing almost nothing. And so what is the gain? So why are you giving budget to a ministry that can generate?
So you are feeling that some ministries are doing nothing basically, or agencies?
Basically, just glorified offices. Glorified offices. Why should I budget money for something that will generate?
Because they are concerned for the fact that if we want to go into merging them, just like our NSA reports has suggested, merging some ministries and parastatals together, that probably some people will lose out for their jobs and all of those concerns. And that it's better that we don't push out the statistics of people that are already employed back to the unemployed statistics we have in the country. Don't you feel that is insensitive enough?
Assuming Nigeria's security is generating 50 trillion. did you need more hands, or you are going to throw your hands away? No, if you are generating, if the security is generating 50 trillion naira and 30% comes back to the security organizations, means that 15 trillion is in the coffer of the security organization. Are you going to tell me that you are going to increase manpower or you are going to disengage it? Because you can only say you are merging system and losing when the system is not productive. But in this case, all the sectors become productive. And when they become productive, what happens? You want more power because you can't do it alone. But when it's not productive, as it is today, it's not productive, then you lose manpower because you are not productive. So if we want to be productive, let's be productive. If we don't want to be productive and we want to lose, we will continue to lose more power. And people are out there. We are bringing in new faces, going through some new faces every day. Young men and women are graduating every day, and they need a job. So where do we send them to? So if we talk of from security, let's go to agric. If agric is generating trillions today, would they need more hands? Just as I said the other day about, but let's forget that. Suppose we have mechanized farms in each of these states and zones. Only one state in Nigeria can feed the whole of Nigeria. Let's say 2 states can feed the whole of Nigeria, and 4 states can feed the whole of Africa. For sure. Do the agric sector need more hands? Very well. And that was the main point that they were calculating when they started developing universities of agriculture in Nigeria. But that has lost its basic concept till today. Because the reason of developing universities of agriculture was to develop an agric master plan and develop what we call mechanized farming in Nigeria. But today, we just roll out the graduates and nothing happened. Also, the Ministry of Science and Technology, because that gives birth to the University of Federal Universities of Technology. Today, if the Federal University of Technologies are ISO, there is basically nothing happening there any longer.
All right, Prof. Prof, I just want to get your concern about, because government seems to probably make a lot of attempts in terms of reduction of cost of governance, because look out, you go to House of Reps will tell you that we recently slashed salaries by 50% just to respond to the current issues in the country. So you ask a minister how much you're earning, he says less than 1 million naira and all of that. I'm driving 1 car, I'm doing this and all of that. Do you feel that the illustration and demonstration by our office holders are not reflective about the commitment on cutting costs of governance? Because asking Nigerians to continue to adjust is getting a lot of Nigerians annoyed every day, because it looks that the senator is driving more than 1 car on the road, a minister has convoy on the roads and all of that. But in essence, you look at the issue of the purchase of their vehicles. Do they not need the vehicles? And some people ask, didn't they have vehicles prior to becoming senators or House of Reps or even the ministers? How do we balance this, Prof? Understanding that purchasing, distribution, and management of our resources is also at stake.
Good. They actually have vehicles. They have vehicles before they become ministers and members of the House of Rep. But if you say you need an official vehicle, how many vehicles do you need? As a minister, you are not supposed to go and cover. As a senator, you are not even supposed to have even 1 police detail. But let's say you have a police detail and you have a car. You don't need all. Sometimes I see the Speaker, House of Rep, I see the Senate President, the Deputy, and the fleet of vehicles and on his convoy. And you also come back to the ministers, and you see the fleet of vehicles on their convoy. Is it really necessary? What are these people bringing to the table? Because I want a system that is working, that is self-sustainant. That is the system that Nigerians will say, yes, this system is self-sustenance. We have some commissions that are supposed not to be commissions at all by now, but we're still keeping them as commission. Let's draft NDDC. We came back, taking care of the SAT. We came back and have the Northeast Development Commission. Now we have Northwest. We are going to have Southeast Development Commission. We are going to have North Central Development Commission and Northwest Development Commission. If you go back now, what have you built? When every region has its own development commission, is it a waste or is it a developmental template? With how much has gone to NDDC, what development is in the South today? Nothing. Nothing to show for it. So they are glorified agencies. We are not bringing anything to the table with the kind of monies.
So are you saying that the numbers of ministers of this administration is too much and huge for a dying economy like Nigeria?
What we have just done.
Or do you think that the president is trying to compensate some of those who supported him politically during the elections?
That is an error because one, what are we satisfying? We are satisfying where every state must bring a minister. And every region is bringing a minister, meaning that we have 42 ministers. And if we have 42 ministers, what does it represent? That they supported you. There is no other ways to look at it. If it is a party, assuming we have a party, and the party is running, will everybody come out and say, I supported Mr. President? Go back. Look at what you can do. If you can elect me as a president, you can also elect yourself. So if you were relevant in your constituents, why are you coming to look for a ministerial position? We need qualified people who can drive the nation developmental agenda. If you can't drive it, you just don't fit in. It's not just something that I must be a minister.
So are you probably also getting concerned the fact that those who are doing the job for the president are not doing their best after 1 year? Because the ministers have stayed in office 1 year. Exactly this month, August makes them 1 year in office.
They are not doing anything. They are just not helping the system at all.
So if the president has said from day one, I'll hit the ground running, I'll do the job, it doesn't mean that he didn't have to rely on the ministers. Rather, many are concerned that show us what you can do. Are you concerned that the president can do this job alone?
I want to run. I want to hit the ground running. And as I am running, there are gums on the track. So what am I running? And where am I running to? That is the issue. I should be running. When I hit the track running, I am running a straight run, believing that my confidence, those who I believe in, are going to do same because they have a streamlined agenda. There are so many things that are wrong. Let's talk about them. Let's agree on them that these things are wrong. So person, I am not ready to sit down here and start telling you today that everything Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done is wrong. No. Because we have a blame game. We only blame the head. Everybody that is not the head is insignificant to people.
But he asked for the job. Those who said the president asked for the job, we know the president, we voted for the president, so we can't blame the ministers or the other appointees.
Yes. The president said, I will do the job. It's just like in your house. You marry because you want to have a peaceful home. And if your partner is a misfit, it's already destroyed. There is no way.
So team selections also matters in driving this.
That is it. How many ministers were
So
profiled?
it looks that the president is surrounded with the wrong team.
Very wrong team. I'm not going to call names, but very wrong team. Wrong team, different agenda, different mindset, different motives, and the rest. And the moment you cannot select a team that is ready to work according to your master plan, you have already gotten it wrong. Even in a school setting, that is why we have administrators, education administrators. If you are not an administrator and very careful to select your students will be, their grade will be running below scale. And you will be wondering what is happening. You may be the best administrator, but your team matters.
All right, there are a lot of concerns, and in the face of the reality of our country's economy, many are saying we can't afford to maintain a new presidential athlete because the cost of the mandatory tests and checks on the general maintenance is too much for a fragile economy like that of Nigeria. So they are concerned. Cost of governance, show the working, reduce expenses of government, reduce trips, foreign trips for government officials, and also make Nigerians believe and walk the talk you are also talking to Nigerians. That's the more reasons many Nigerians are calling for the president and Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to adjust. Also, while calling on Nigerians to adjust. Well, because of time, that's much we'll take tonight on Big Talk. I'm looking forward again. Thanks so much to Prof for joining us, our Global Television Political Analyst. Thanks so much, Professor
Thank
Ibrahim
you
Abubakar.
for my listeners. Thank you, everybody.
All right, of course, see you again tomorrow where we'll take a look at other political issues. They are concerning Rivers State. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at what is going on in Rivers State political system. Do stay with us on Global Television. My name is Edika Michael, and God bless Nigeria.